This is the Triumph Tiger 900 GT Pro 2023 year model. I bought this just about a week ago. I did not buy the Triumph OEM lower engine crash bars and fuel tank crash bars. They come in two separate kits. One reason was the cost for the Triumph protection bars is expensive, and secondly, based on my research, I found that there have been owners of the Tiger 900 motorcycle who have installed the Triumph crash bars and they have bent or sheared off a bolt or damaged the weak front beak mount bracket. I researched many different big name brands and I decided to go with the Italian GV TN6415 lower engine crash bars. There were two reasons for that. One is, for a lower engine crash bar, the GV TN6415 extends higher up than the Triumph lower engine crash bars. Secondly, the way the GV crash bars are mounted, the mounting brackets are parallel to the vertical longitudinal axis of the motorcycle rather than the transverse axis. So there are three mounting points, and what that means is when the motorcycle has a standstill drop, the weight of the fall is transferred flush against the engine mount. If instead the mounting brackets were transverse to the longitudinal axis of the motorcycle and the bolt was put through in the longitudinal axis of the motorcycle, then imagine it, if there was a fall, what would happen is the force would be transferred to the bolt and it could potentially shear off the bolt. Join me in this video as I unbox this package and install it step by step to the motorcycle. So this is the GV TN6415 lower engine crash protection bars. The package is very well sealed. There isn't any bubble wrap. This is a pack of fixing nuts, bolts and brackets, and I suspect that's the printout instructions on installation, but you can download the installation instructions on the GV website. It looks like this is the external plastic wrap, and there's also internal wraps for each of the bars, and they seem to be heat sealed to each other. Right, that's one of the bars. I would say this is the left hand side bar. So the three mounting positions, 1, 2 and 3. So this is the front bracket, the middle section bracket and the rear bracket. Now to get to the right hand side bracket. Managed to pull the external wrap away, so that's the right hand side protection bars. Let's remove it from the wrapping. Alright, this is the right hand side protection bar. So they will go like this. The front of the engine is here, that's the right side protection bar. That's the left side protection bar. If I hold the right hand side bar roughly in position, you see that's where it goes. This top mount goes to this chassis frame, the bottom mount goes to this footrest, and the middle bracket here has another L-shaped bracket that will mount into this screw hole here. So that's pretty decent. It covers pretty high up without extending up to the fuel tank. I think that's good. And the left hand side crash bar will mount roughly like this. One mounting position behind the footrest, one into the chassis frame, and one to a bracket which mounts to the engine block. so that I do not waste time trying to figure out which is the left and right bracket when installing. I've just simply labeled them left and right. Now I'll open up the package of fixing nuts, bolts and the 2 attachment brackets. Make sure that the items are all correct inside. Well, the package comes with an installation sheet and a guarantee sheet, but this is the same as the one I've already printed out. So what else is inside? This yellow piece of paper printed quality control number 105. Maybe this means this is person number 105 that checked the quality. We'll just start with this. So there's 2 brackets, one for the left crash bar and one for the right crash bar. So I have 2 attachment brackets, a long one and a shorter one. So if I hold this correctly, you'll see this attachment bracket is number 3 and this other attachment bracket is number 2. So there's a packet of bolts, washers, looks like nylon bolt cap, nylon bushes, nylon spacers and quality control number 70. So this packet would be all of this, and these are 2 abrasion plastic clamps. They will clamp onto the crash bar tubing. This is not listed in the instruction manual. That's it so far on the unboxing, and it looks like all the items are intact. I haven't though checked every nut bolt spacer is in the packet. I'll do that later when I do the installation. First thing to do is 5mm Allen key to remove this screw holding this side plastic trimming. There is just a short screw. I've put there 3 Newton meters so I know what to tighten it back. Once I take this out, I'm going to screw this back in so I do not lose the screw. And that's always a good practice. Next I have to remove this complete footrest assembly. 8mm Allen key. Then remove these screws. I will use a Torx 30 bit. Yep, comes off easy. Yep. This is just a plastic plate. So that's what this trimming looks like. Brass bushing. And behind it, one more Torx screw that need to remove to take this bracket out. As usual, I will replace the screws so that I do not lose them, and also so that I do not replace them in the wrong positions later. That's a top 40 screw head. Just be careful because there is a cylinder here for the brake pedal. Don't just let it drop. So that bolt goes there. I'll put it back. I'm just going to put a bit of rubber sheet here so that this footrest doesn't scrape the exhaust pipe. Actually, I'll see if I can just return this footrest back into the holding position so that it can be free to rotate. There, at least I can still move it out. I won't remove this completely. I've labeled right footrest bolts so that I can tape to these bolts and later know where they fit without guessing. There you go, right footrest bolts. And they sit in my magnetic tray. Just holding the right hand side crash bar in place. There are 3 fixing positions. The first is this bracket with 2 holes, which fixes to the 2 steel bolts on the footrest. Then the second mounting position is this flange, which screws into this bolt in the steel tubular frame. And the last mounting position is this steel bolt, which connects the top right front cylinder head to a steel frame flange inside. And to do that, I need this attachment, which will clamp there like this and be bolted to the bracket here like that. There'll be a spacer coming out. Because the engine is secured by these 2 bolts here, it's important not to remove them all at the same time, but one at a time. Nevertheless, what I will do to support the engine is I will remove the plastic sump guard, and then I will use this scissor car jack, put it underneath and raise it and put a timber block underneath to support the bottom of the engine sump. I do not want this top right cylinder head to drop any at all, so that when I pass the bolt through, I'm not using force and accidentally cross threading the bolt. This OEM plastic sump plate only has 4 screws holding it in place. There's 2 on the side and 2 on the bottom. So let me get at the ones on the side first. You just have to be careful. There is a shoulder bush. Remove the rear bolt. Now to remove the 2 bolts on the underside. They are the same size bolt. They come off very easily. Similarly, there's a shoulder bushing. The shoulder bushing on the underside is longer than the shoulder bush on the left hand side. Now to remove the last bolt. Here we are. That's the last bolt. That's the bolt hole position on the rear and the bolt hole position on the front. This is what the plastic sump plate looks like. It's actually in 2 pieces. This inner bottom piece is metal and can be removed by 1, 2 and 3 screws on the side. That's what it looks like. So that I do not misplace the screws, I'm gonna put them back with the shoulder bushes. Now to put the shoulder bush and bolt and screw back in on the underside of the sump. The shoulder bush and screw on the front. Done. With the plastic sump guard removed, I've now placed the car jack on a timber block with a piece of soft pine wood just underneath here, with not a lot of pressure but just enough to hold it in position from falling down. I now need to remove this steel bolt which secures the top front right cylinder head to the steel frame behind. I will use a Torx T50 driver. It does take a fair bit of force to undo this, but I make sure that I push this in so that I don't ruin the head. There, it's loosened. There is a washer in here. Have to keep that washer. There's the bolt and the washer. There is a 6-spacer T2077810 which is located between the frame and the right hand side top front cylinder head. This spacer must stay in place and not drop out. I've put all the bolts, spacers, washers that came with the crash bar into a tray like this so that it's easier to pick the right things and know that I haven't lost anything. This is the M10 by 90mm long bolt. Then there's a spring washer and a flat washer, the attachment bracket, the steel spacer and the original washer that was there. So put this in, slowly see if I can hand thread it. Seems a bit stiff. I'll just see if I use the socket wrench. Yes, it's going in. I must not use excessive force. This seems to be working well. I've put my finger at the end of the bolt hole the other side just to feel if the bolt's coming through, and yes, I can feel it come through nearly flush. But I'm not going to tighten this yet, just enough so that this can move to fit correctly. Now to take the left hand side plastic radiator cowl so that I can access the top left cylinder head mounting bolt. 5mm Allen key. Lift and the 2 plastic tabs. Put the screw back so I do not lose it. Now to carefully remove the top left front engine mount bolt. I have a Torx T50 driver. Yes, got it out safely. Be careful not to lose the washer there. It's out. That's the bolt with the washer. I need to keep that washer. So for the left hand side, there's the attachment bracket. There's an M10 by 120mm long bolt. The spring washer is here. Then the flat washer, the bracket, and 2 steel spacers. Now the printed instructions doesn't say to retain the factory washer, but I don't know why. I'm gonna put the washer back. It seems to screw in quite nicely. I'm gonna use the socket wrench to get it in. Right, I haven't tightened it yet. That's tight enough just to hold it in place. I can still move this to make adjustments. I now need to remove this left side footrest in order to gain access to this nut. So this is an 8mm Allen key. I return the bolts back in there so I don't lose them. This just means the footrest is out of the way so I can access this nut. To remove this nut, which fixes a long horizontal bolt right through to the right hand side, I need to use a Torx T50 key to hold the head of the bolt. The drawings on the GV installation instructions I think are wrong because the picture shows to remove this one. This is not the right bolt. It doesn't go right through the other side. This is the correct bolt. So I need to hold that. You can do this yourself, but it's going to be very difficult. You need 2 people. One to keep this head from spinning and the other person on the left hand side to turn the spanner. I've put the left hand side crash bar onto the bottom rear bolt. It just sits in there. There does not appear to be a washer because this is a flange nut. So put the nut back. Temporarily, that will do. Now I have to remove this bolt from the frame. This is the Torx T50 driver. Yep, it's out. Just gotta be careful not to damage the head. So that's the bolt and that's the spacer. To install the left hand side crash bar, I have first reinstalled the round silver steel spacer between the engine frame and the cylinder head, so it sits behind the frame here. Insert the black steel spacer in here. Get the bolt with the flat washer and the spring washer and insert it in here. Hand tighten it. Now to fix this mounting plate to this attachment. Make sure this attachment is loose enough so that the holes can mate. This bolt, spring washer and the flat washer go in here. It takes a 6mm Allen key to tighten. I'm just tightening enough to fix it. So the crash bar is now completely mounted on the left hand side. Starting with top bolt, then a bolt on the top left front cylinder head, and finally the crash bar mounts to the bolt on the bottom. So left hand side is done, but nothing is torque tightened yet. Now to tighten this nut, I have someone assisting locking the bolt head on the other side, and on this side I have a torque wrench which I've set to the factory specifications according to the service manual. So now I torque. Done. Right, I have tightened it to the factory torque specifications. That's good now. I will now tighten the front left cylinder head mounting bolt to torque specification. I will need a 17mm socket. And by the way, this is the Metrinch brand, and you notice the internal socket shape is different. It would take both matrix and imperial sizes. So the imperial size is 11/16 inch, and it has the ability to avoid rounding hexagonal heads owing to the design of the internal socket. I like this very much. So I have my torque wrench here set to the correct torque specification. Now to tighten. The torque wrench gave a click, which means the torque has been achieved. I'll push the pin in again so it will do another click to confirm. There, second click, that's it. I confirm that the top left front cylinder head bolt is now fixed to torque specification. I will now tighten the rear left engine mounting bolt to torque specification. On the torque wrench, I'll push the indicator in and begin tightening. Alright, torque wrench indicator clicked. I'll do it one more time. Yep, clicked again. This is now tightened to torque specification. I now have to tighten this Allen key bolt. To do that, I have to use a smaller torque wrench, an adapter, and a 6mm Allen key driver. Right, that's tightened to specification. Shake the bracket and you can see the whole bike moves. That's great. Now that the left hand side engine crash bar is fully installed and tightened, I can now tighten the left hand side footrest. To do that, I have my 8mm Allen key, adapters, and my trusty torque wrench. That's clicked. That's clicked again. Yep. These two bolts are now tightened to torque specification. You can see there's no movement. Just check nothing's forgotten to be tightened. I never removed this, so that's okay. Now it's time to install the right hand side engine crash bar. Now document says to first mount this lower bottom bracket to the footrest bolts, and then to tighten this. I don't want to bolt this on first because then that creates problem for me to access this bolt to remove it. So I'm going to remove this top right rear cylinder head bolt first. And I've got a car jack underneath supporting the engine, so it should be okay to remove this bolt. To remove that cylinder head bolt, I will use a Torx T50 driver. Yep, excellent, it's loosened. Looking at the bolt that I just removed, there does not look like there's any Loctite encapsulated fixing or patch fixing applied on the thread. This is an M10 by 60mm bolt. I have a spring washer and a flat washer. I'm just gonna hand tighten, make sure that the thread goes well. Yes, it goes well. And I have a steel spacer, it goes in there. So let's put that frame in. Put the spacer in. Put the bolt in and hand tighten. That's good. For the top bolt, it is a M10 by 60mm steel bolt with a spring washer, a flat washer, and a steel spacer. The steel spacer goes in the gap there, and then the bolt goes through. I'm hand tightening to make sure it goes through nicely. Yes, it is going in nicely. For the bottom hole, I will still need a M10 by 60mm steel bolt with the spring washer, flat washer, Then it goes through the crash bar bracket, followed by a washer and a spacer. Looks like I need to loosen this a little bit to get the spacer in between. Here we are. See if I can slot the spacer in. Yes. Now to put the washer in. And finally the bolt. Hand tighten. Do not torque tighten any bolts yet. Now to secure this bracket, which is fixed to the top front right cylinder head bolt. That bolt is not tightened so that I can make adjustments. Similarly, the rest of the crash bar is not tightened so that I can make adjustments. I need the M8 by 20mm long steel bolt with spring washer and flat washer. Put it in through here. Loosely tighten with Allen key. Now that puts it in the position. And the first thing I will tighten now is this front right engine bolt. To secure that front right cylinder head bolt, I have a 17mm socket, extension bar, and my torque wrench. So let's do some tightening. It's clicked. The torque wrench indicator has clicked. I'll do that one more time. It's clicked again. That is now tightened to torque specification. I will not torque tighten this one yet. That will be my last thing. Now to torque tighten this top right rear cylinder head bolt. The torque wrench indicator clicked. Done. That's now tightened to torque setting. Now time to tighten these two bolts on the footrest. Again, my torque wrench. The torque wrench indicator clicked for the top bolt. Do it one more time. Now for the bottom bolt. Indicator has clicked. Done. Both bolts are now tightened to torque specification. Now to tighten this Allen key bolt to the attachment bracket. On the attachment bracket, I use a 6mm Allen key on a smaller torque wrench. I've now tightened to torque specification. So now the entire right hand side crash bar is tightened to torque specification. As you can see, when I shake it, the entire bike moves, but the crash bar is rigid. I now need to tighten this footrest bracket to the steel frame. To do that, I use Torx T40 driver on my small torque wrench. Right, that's now tightened to the torque specification. I did not remove these bolts. Now to secure this right side heel guard. I've removed the two screws here and here. All these other screws are tight. Now that these two screws are in place, I can use my Torx T30 driver on the torque wrench. Done. They are both secured to torque specifications. With the engine crash bar completely installed on the left and right side, I can now release this car jack. It's now time to reinstall the plastic engine sump guard. I'll remove the two screws from the bottom. Just be careful of the spaces that go with them. Here we are. That's one of them with the spacer, and the second one in front. Then I remove the 2 screws on the side as well. Align the plastic guard to the 2 mounting screw holes. Put the screws in and hand screw them in. The front screw is in place. Now for the rear screw. Now to install the screws to the left hand side. I will need to use an extension in order to access it. Yep, that's in place. The second screw to the rear, make sure the shoulder bush is in place. I can now torque tighten these 2 screws. These 2 screws are now tightened to torque specification. Now to tighten the 2 bottom screws to torque specification. Done. The 2 screws are now tightened to torque specification. The sump guard is completely installed. Let's have a look at what the crash bars look like now that they are completely installed. So the right side engine crash bar mounted to the footrest, the top rear right cylinder head bolt, the top right front cylinder head bolt via an attachment bracket, and it is rigid. I chose this GVTN 6415 because I like the design, and the crash protection is higher than the original Triumph lower engine crash bars, which I think come up to here. And this is the left hand side crash bar. Again, it mounts to the steel frame and the mounting points. Bottom rear engine mounting bolt to the chassis. This bolts to the upper left rear cylinder head frame, and that bolts to the upper left front cylinder head frame as well. Well, I do hope you enjoyed this video and found it helpful. Do hit the like button and subscribe to my channel for more and to help the channel grow. Thank you very much.